have our intro or anything? Wow. What's going on? This is our first day back. They lost our music. They lost
Like
our
I can't even
recordings.
see myself.
And we're not even on, so you
I'm
got to
trying to
bear with
fix
us.
my mic. I don't want to break anybody's property. I
Wow.
don't really need this mic though.
Well, good evening, everyone. We're back. It is Shimona and I.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
It's been a long week. It's been a long week. So we're going to
Okay.
try to entertain everyone for this hour and so minutes and try to bust it up. And we're going to talk today about Corona. I know people are tired of talking about Corona, but we're going to talk about it. As it does play a big issue on not only our physical health, but our emotional and mental health as well. And so we should talk about it and, you know, see how we can deal with it in a way that allows us to be successful. And so there's always that question, should we get vaccinated or not? Mr. Mona, what's your thoughts?
I think it should be a choice. I don't think that um, people should be forced to be vaccinated if it's against their will. I think it should be a sole choice. That's just my personal feelings about it. I mean, people have different reasons as to why they don't want it or not, but either way, I just feel like it should be an individual choice, not something that's mandated, not something the president has to force on people to say, hey, either you get vaccinated, you don't work, you don't go to school. You know what I mean? I think that's going to backfire. We already have nurses and things walking out and quitting jobs. If the nurses quit and walk out, or medical staff period, if they all quit and walk out, you don't have enough time and staffing to replace those people that leave.
Right? And they're not even replaceable, but, it should be a choice. There are certain companies that are mandating, the government is mandating that their employees are vaccinated. That would include the military. The NBA, you have to be vaccinated.
They
Uh,
about to walk out too, about to
because,
take another knee.
well, I think I'm wrong on that. I don't think that they are required to be. They are asked to be vaccinated to do that. And in certain states, which New York and California, you cannot be in closed buildings
Mm-hmm.
while not vaccinated. So people who play for the Knicks, the Nets, is that the Brooklyn Nets? The Knicks, the Nets, the Lakers, Golden State, Sacramento, Clippers, they will not be able to play home games, or anyone will be able to
Really?
play. Yes, as that is a government thing, and not an NBA policy thing. And so, if you were to play a game in California or New York, you have to be vaccinated. So
Mm.
we will see how that goes. And,
We will.
we'll see what's happening. But there's been some things that I wanted to talk about with COVID. Um, there are some physical issues as I've had COVID, and I still suffer from some of the issues with COVID as it relates to coughing and having shortness of breath. And so, did I did the lung exercises. And it's still I'm still having some of the issues. So people may be suffering from that, and that may be a reason why some people want to get vaccinated so that they don't have the lingering side effects. There's a lot of different things, but we do know that fatigue also goes along with COVID, shortness of breath. Um, you want to pick up on the physical symptoms of that?
Really fully recover from having it. It's different for each individual. For some that I'm aware of, anyway, if you've already had underlying conditions, then they struggle longer. Some people end up with heart conditions that they didn't have before they had COVID. There's a whole lot of different ailments that people may sustain after they've had COVID, and they could have been perfectly healthy individuals. But then on the flip side, there are people that have had it and they're fine. Is that's that's the thing about this whole disease. There's no way to tell. There's no way to tell who's going to have long-term effects and who's not. Who will die from it? Who will live from it? Who will get COVID and have symptoms just like your average cold?
So, what would you say is the best source or the best recommendation to protect yourselves from getting COVID?
Well, what we're taught, yeah, I'm not a nurse, but what we're told is basically what it's been for like everything, even when swine flu came out. Wash your hands. You know, basically, the common colds and the flu and all that stuff is spread by nasty people, if you will.
Wow.
People, people that cough in their hands and touch the doorknobs or touch the telephone when you're on the phone. I caught the flu before from someone picking the phone up years ago at work from someone who was on it that had the flu. I was like, and she didn't sanitize it afterwards. Listen, it's the simplest thing to do, but it's so hard for people. So those in healthcare, we do what we can.
So, 30 seconds of washing hands, warm soapy water, right?
I say hand sanitizer is just as good. I'm type A. I've always been. So I didn't like to touch door handles, and if I do, I come right in and wash my hands. That's how I am. So my children call me a germaphobe. It's just gotten worse now.
Okay. And so, staying 6 feet apart.
They've lowered that to what, 3 feet now?
3 feet. So we're 3 feet. Good. 3 feet and wearing the mask. We're not wearing the mask, but taking vitamins, right? Having vitamin C, vitamin D, cod liver oil. I don't know. Let's do that one in there.
You really did. But I don't know. There's so many different symptoms people are throwing out there now. You don't know which one to choose, which actually true, which one is actually valid and which ones aren't. But hey, try them all.
I have a whole windowsill of different vitamins now that I take every day.
Do you really?
I learned my lesson, so.
I have heard that vitamin C does work, though.
I have the vitamin C, I have vitamin D.
Ginger.
Fresh ginger.
Mm-hmm. Yep, ginger tea, like.
There's elderberry. I have the elderberry.
Mm-hmm.
I do have the cod liver. So, being honest, you looked at me funny. The ginger, the turmeric, and lemon water.
Lemon water, really?
Yes. So that's just more of the vitamin C. But so I try everything. And
I've heard magnesium works.
Don't have magnesium.
Like they put all kinds of things for COVID now, but they say the magnesium works. And but they say vitamin C, magnesium, and it all depends on what's going on this week. So.
And so one of the things that I was told when I did have COVID was to not lay down, stay active. Because if you lay down, it attacks your lungs. And the more phlegm and fluid that you get in your lungs, the worse it is. So I try to stay as active as I could, moving around, staying active. And, someone said, and it probably was just, I don't know, a folk tale or whatever, but fresh air. So opened up all the windows and allowed for fresh air to come in. It was springtime when I had it, so it wasn't that bad, but, I was trying everything. And so we do know that there are some physical symptoms, but there's also some emotional and mental symptoms as well. And so one of the biggest thing is that the government shut down, right? And so the government shut down, though the country shut down, and so a lot of people were at home, and they was asking people to stay off the streets, to stay home, and that isolation was a bad thing for a lot of people, and a lot of people didn't know how to cope or deal with that. And so couples struggled, families struggled, and individuals struggled, right? And so what we do know is that domestic violence went up during the COVID time. So I got some stats here on
That's
my
what
phone.
you know. That's not common knowledge.
Oh,
Some of us
okay.
probably just joked around about it. I, I think that in some cases though, you know how some marriages just they just exist because they're gone. Both parties work, but then when you're forced to have to be in the home together, you realize, hey, I don't really like you, and I don't even think I love you anymore.
Right.
But
So I've experienced. There I am being nasty. But in my practice, I got a lot of couples that realized that their relationship wasn't good, and that they was forced to spend all day with each other. They had a hard time. If you think about it, most people spend about 3 to 4 hours a day with each other. You work, you get up, you really don't talk too much. You shower, you get dressed, you plan for the morning, eat breakfast, get your coffee, and you're out the door. You do your 8 hours at work, right?
at least.
Minimum. And then some people may go to school, do a couple of hours at school. There are some people that go work out or do their hobbies or whatever it may be.
Throw the children in there.
Add children in there. And so you don't really spend a lot of time. But then with the COVID, people were spending all day with each other. And they realized that there wasn't a lot in common. And when you only have to spend 3 to 4 hours, it goes by really fast. Dinner conversation, talk about your day, plan for tomorrow, watch a little bit of television and, maybe have some intimacy, and then you're going to bed. But if you're spending 24 hours with each other, you have to do a little bit more. You have to be connected in a way. And a lot of times couples, for whatever reason, life sometimes gets in the way, become disconnected. And now you're forced to be together. And so we know that divorce went up. Well, I know, and I'm sharing it with everyone, divorce went up to 52% last year.
Wow.
And so it's usually at 44 to 46%. Yearly, it went up to 52. And so it doesn't seem like a big jump, but it is. So more than half of first-time marriages failed, right? So that's a big number. And so for people who are getting married, they have to take time to kind of know each other, kind of spend time with each other and recognize each other's purpose in coming together, right? We also know domestic violence. Well, domestic violence did go up, right? And so during the COVID time, 1 in 3 white women reported having experienced domestic violence,
Okay.
which is an increase to about 50% and higher for those marginalized races. So within that, if 1 in 3 of white women reported, it's been, talked about that it's even double for other cultures that's been marginalized. So spending more time with each other, may cause people to get angry and people lash out. And so how should we deal with that? One is having some self-control, right? And being willing to walk away. No one should get into any fights. Physical violence should not be acceptable. 2, the biggest thing, that we want to look at and that we want to talk about is understanding boundaries, right? We need to recognize boundaries. I had a couple last night that told me that they had a physical altercation over, of all things, the, what's the stick?
The flash drive?
Not the flash drive.
The fire stick.
Fire stick. Over a fire stick. That, one person wanted to watch it, and then the other person was watching it, and so they got into a physical altercation. And that really is not the issue, wasn't the fire stick, but it's a lot of built up and pent up frustration over periods of time. And what we have to learn is to communicate, right? And a lot of times we don't say what we mean and mean what we say within relationships. And so Corona has caused a lot of people to shut down. And within that, not talk about what's really bothering them.
So, did it cause them to shut down, or did it cause them to be angry?
Well,
Maybe angry and shut down, but
the anger, it caused them to be anger. And the result of being angry, they started to shut down.
and for the men, and not the male is always the aggressor, but
Not in this situation.
right. I'm not saying he is, but for the man that's okay, maybe laid off, or his job shut down, and he's home now.
We're going to
You know
talk
what I
about
mean?
that as well.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
I'm thinking that after being home, after working for so long, and then not having a job, and not being able to even pull your weight or take care of your household, I think that has to be a whole lot of pressure on the shoulders of the man, right? So somewhere in there, I can't help but to think or feel that that has to be frustrating, right? That has to make you angry, because I'm a man, right?
Are you?
It's, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Can we get some
it's
callers?
my job as I'm just saying for the male model, for the male, that your role, for, or at least it's supposed to be, is to protect and provide. And if your means of support is taken away from you, you know what I mean?
Right.
What do you do? Especially if everything is shut down. So if your job is shut down, and okay, let's say a lot of people are running through their savings, they've pulled out their 401ks, and then after that, what do you do?
Well,
I would think that causes anger.
it causes a lot of things. It depends on the person, right? So we talked last time, and we haven't been here for a while, but we talked about the parasympathetic reflexes, right?
Right.
And so that means a person would either fight, flight, or freeze. And so for some people, they would get angry and want to lash out. For some people, they may just shut down and get stuck. And then for some people, and I guess we're talking about men in general, some men may just run away. They may say, this is too much for me, I can't handle it, and then leave. So the parasympathetic reflexes will kick in, and whatever the mode of operandi, I guess we'll use that today, one word, may cause them to do some certain things. And so, yeah, it may cause some people to be angry. But the biggest thing is that we need to talk. We need to express that, right? And we picked our significant other for a reason. We picked them because we feel as though, or we should have thought as though, they can emotionally support us when we're going through our struggles.
Right.
And so as men, and also as women, we have to be comfortable in sharing these inner thoughts and being vulnerable to say, hey, I feel less than because I don't have these financial means that I once had. We're not able to do some of the things that we once did. I have to call these certain companies, the mortgage, the car company, and come up with a plan or ask for a forbearance or whatever, which eats at my manhood. Or I may have to borrow money from some friends and family. And so a person has to be honest within themselves and be self-aware. Be self-aware of how it's bothering them. And then be able to share that with their partner. And hopefully their partner is able to, in return, support them emotionally and help them brainstorm a way of getting past it. We do know that their partner, their wife or their spouse, she may be going through the same emotional things as well, as she's still a part of our society, which may have caused her to lose her job, may cause her to have a loss of income and not be able to provide for the children and family as well, or pull her weight. And so we have to be willing to support each other. And that's hopefully one of the reasons why you pick your partner, because emotionally you know that they will be able to carry you when you're not able to carry yourself. And hopefully maybe we can get some people to call in. Do we still have that number?
We had a number. When did we get a number?
Then we have one. Okay,
No,
I'm lying. I made that up.
We were supposed to. We
Okay,
didn't.
all right. Don't call us. Don't call us. But that has taken a big toll on a lot of people. We know that in April of this year, unemployment was 47%, which has been the highest since the Great Depression. And so within that, there's been a lot of people that was out of work. There's
Right.
a lot of people who financially didn't have it. And that alone can cause some emotional strains within a person, within a relationship, and it could lead to depression, right? And so we know what happened in our government before the shutdown, right? We had the QAnon situation where people bought a whole bunch of guns, a whole bunch of weapons. And then you add that weapons to a home that has a lot of depression because of not having the financial means. And you're looking at some suicidal factors that may be, plaguing, some of the people. And we got these guns, we have the ammo, we don't have any money, and I'm feeling depressed. And so that then can lead to some suicidal thoughts or tendencies that may, end on a negative outcome. And so all of these things is like the perfect storm coming together, during that time, as right before the pandemic and during the pandemic, we know that 3 things was selling like crazy. You remember what they were?
What, toilet paper?
Toilet paper was one.
Lysol? Or it sold out.
Lysol, but that wasn't one of the ones I was thinking of, but that was a good one, Lysol. But toilet paper,
Hand sanitizer?
that's another good one. Didn't think
Well,
about
what were the 3 things?
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
Toilet paper, right? Water was a big thing.
Oh, okay.
And weapons.
Oh.
And so, people was fortified in their home with toilet paper. I'm not laughing. You're making me laugh. With toilet paper,
Well, they were, yeah.
water, and weapons, right? And a lot of times I remember going to the stores and they was like, you only can buy one of this. And I'm like, what? I only can get 1 case of water? It's like, yeah, you only get 1 case of water. And I'm like, all right, well, it ain't that deep, but okay. And so certain things, Lysol, paper towels, paper products, you started,
It had gotten bad. The shelves were bad, like soup was gone. Because people...
And then, it really got crazy at the supermarkets because, which I thought this was a great idea. They had senior citizen hours only. But they was then buying everything, and then you was going into the store after the senior citizens, and there was nothing really left on the shelf. And I'm like, wow, y'all really didn't plan this well. And so
They didn't plan it at all.
And so all of this leads to anger, frustration, isolation, and depression. Now, I know that Philadelphia marked their, look like a week or 2 ago, their 400th murder.
No, that was just a couple of days ago, wasn't it?
A couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So the 400th murder. And so we know that people are lashing out more, and so I don't know if it's due to COVID, there's not any tests or analysis to kind of prove that, but we know that it's at a high rate.
Violence is just at an all-time high, period. I don't even think that has anything to do with COVID in particular, because Philadelphia was one of the cities that wasn't really following the rules of COVID to begin with. So, yeah, violence is just at an all-time high, but I guess COVID could play a part in it for the people that are out of work. Some of them probably never had jobs, but the people that are out of work trying to, I don't know, maybe see people up to get something. Who knows? It's just the world we live in today.
It is. And so think about that. So we know that domestic violence has been risen, right? But we also know that child abuse has increased as well. So heightened stress of families, school closures, loss of income, social isolation, all of this has had an increased risk of child abuse. And with the school closings and the social, activities such as recreation centers, people don't have physical eyes on children, right? And so the mandated reporters can't mandate and report. I don't know if I made that up, but so we know that there's a lot of stress for families.
So much reporting if you said that child abuse is up.
So it is up, but they believe it's even higher than what's being reported.
Oh, okay.
Right. And so Philadelphia did something to kind of help with that. And I don't know if it happened in Delaware County, but Philadelphia gave students their own access card so that they can get food. As now a lot of children were trying to get food or would use the school for breakfast and lunch and have two main meals to make sure that they ate. And by not having schools open, by having the schools closed and having schools virtually, they weren't getting breakfast, they weren't getting lunch. And so they thought that that was a contributing factor. And so what they did for every child who was a part of the free lunch program in the Philadelphia School District, they gave access cards to.
So they didn't have days where they came and picked up, like daily days where they came and picked up breakfast and lunch for the school, where the schools opened and the students came and picked up the lunch and everything?
That I don't know. I just know that the kids...
They just gave them an access card.
Access card.
Huh.
Right? And so I know that I had some clients who was definitely utilizing that. Some needed, some didn't. And for the ones who needed it, that was a definite good resource for them. For the ones who didn't need it, it was an added benefit, and it was something that they could do to kind of allow themselves to have some things that they wanted that they may have not needed, but to be able to have that option. But we know that it is a very serious strain when you don't have the resources to be able to feed your children. And when you do depend on school subsidies and programs, such as the free lunch and the free breakfast program and the after-school program that gives out free snacks, that when that is gone, now you're on your own. And so that was another stressor for a lot of families and children, because, again, the children took the brunt of a lot of the abuse. And so that was Philadelphia's way of dealing with it. I'm not sure if it happened in Delaware County or not. I don't know if
You're talking about what just recently happened?
Yeah.
Oh, the EBT card that they gave all the students.
Yes.
Okay.
So you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Right. And so
that's in Delaware, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all over it. Mm-hmm. And so that was, a way of trying to help families have some of the nutritional meals and take some of the stress off the families to not have to worry about stretching their money to be able to cover some of the foods that they normally wouldn't cover because the kids would be at school. And a part of the free breakfast or the free lunch program, that was then, some things that was less of a burden on the families. Right. So that was more than just Philadelphia, you're saying. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that was one of the way of fighting child abuse. One of the things that they also did was they was going to high-risk areas, right? And just seeing if there was any way that they could support them and support families, not necessarily that they are in the system, but may need some resources or supports to be able to deal with some of the stressors that's going on. And so we want to make sure that we're able to protect the most vulnerable, and they are our children, and also our senior citizens as well. And so we know that there's no end, and there may be more school closures coming up, this winter, as I don't know how they're going to tell the difference between the flu and corona and whatever the strands are that's coming from corona. And so it may be where some schools may shut down over the winter. It would be great to be able to have some feedback, but on what some families think and if they should have schools shut down.
It's my understanding for some of the schools in Delaware, um, they they're taking every precaution in that they're mandating the teachers to. I just heard this actually, so I may be messing up. That they're mandating the teachers to get shots, but they're taking every precaution how they set the rooms up and seats and everything like that for some of the school districts in Delaware. I'm speaking of Brandywine in particular, so I just heard this today, or I was just told today. So they're taking precautions. I don't believe that anyone wants to be totally shut down anymore because they think it did more harm than good. So they're going to try.
Well, based on the numbers, it seems like it did more harm than good.
Yeah, they're going to try and keep the schools open, and because children need that interaction too. Amongst other classmates and everything, to keep it open and keep a close watch for everyone, and they're making it easier to trace should someone get COVID. So they're trying to work things out because I guess they don't want another. See, in the beginning, you don't know what you're doing and what's going on, so you have to figure out a system and a plan, right? So what you did the first time didn't work, so you learn from what at least you should. What failed and what didn't work the first time, figure out what you did wrong and how you make it better each time. So
Definitely. And, I think for the younger children, having or being at home, they lost a lot of that developmental year that would help them, thrive in the later years, right? Most important grade in school is the third grade. And so for all of the second graders and first graders, because school was out, 2 years?
I don't know. It seemed like a long time.
And so the first graders and second graders didn't really get that support. And so third grade is the biggest year. And that's where you learn the most to be able to transition about, learning and picking up some of the things, the skill sets that you're going to carry with you for the rest of your academic career.
But if you notice, online learning has been a big thing now. They've been publicizing that more. That all these programs. What's the name? I forgot the name of it.
CCA.
Yeah, and we have teachers online to walk you through everything, K through 12 education and all. So they were trying to figure out ways. I don't know if people are actually following that, but it's become a big thing now. And homeschooling.
Homeschooling is big. One of the things that I've known, just going with the adolescents that I've worked with,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the parents were doing the schoolwork. And there's no check and balance. You submit stuff online. You do the work on the computer. So there was a lot of kids who were not doing any of the work, and the parents didn't want them to fail. So they started turning in the work themselves. And I had 6 seniors
Mm-hmm.
that I worked with clinically, and 4 failed the 12th grade. They just didn't do the work. Some people just don't do well when they have to read a computer screen all day. So a lot of the work doesn't translate
And
over.
I'm with them. I need a book with some pages. I need to turn. Flip pages, go back, write notes, write in my book, read from my book and write some notes. I can't stand a computer class.
So I have 2 that's repeating the 12th grade.
Wow.
And 2 that's just chilling. Seriously.
That's
And
a shame.
it is. But, again, it's trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And, no one really thought too much about that. But there are some kids who need that physical touch from the teacher, that motivation from the teacher.
They do.
Or that drive to have that one-on-one support. One of the biggest things that I heard from a lot of teachers was that kids were sitting on their computer screen with their hoodies on, and so they couldn't see their face. And a lot of times they were sleep or looking at something else, whether they was watching YouTube on their phone or in a little square on their computer, and they were doing other things. So we know that a lot of the kids were distracted,
Right.
and so
And for high school students, that's like, for some that don't have that discipline, that's like a pass to just sit back and you sit me home in 12th grade on a computer and tell me this is how I'm going to do my work for the entire year.
and that's why some parents did the work for them, you know, and that was the reality. And again, for kids who weren't going to go to college, I guess it wasn't a big deal, you know, they just wanted to finish. But what happened is a lot of kids spent a lot more time on video games and was up all night and then didn't log in.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, I don't have school. We just watching it on, you know. Some people did well. Don't get me wrong, some children did well, and they had parents there to make sure.
Introverted children who
No, not introverted children. Some children did well, that had people there to make sure they did the work.
Right, but there's a lot of children who don't like that social aspect of school. That's introverted. That they were in their element. They were home. They was by themselves. They was able to log on.
I know what introverted is, sir. I'm telling you that was not a lot of the children that did well. They weren't all introverted. Some of them were, maybe. But why can't they just be bright children that, you know?
Introvert doesn't mean you're not bright.
I never implied that it did.
Oh man, Miss Shimona is back.
Anywho, what I'm saying is there were some children that did very well that had to do the online, and it, don't misunderstand me, it was a struggle for them too and their parents, but they did well. Some of them, most of the children didn't have the parents that wanted to take the time to stay on them to get the work done.
Now, I saw one of them reenactments on social media where the kid was getting the wrong math problem and the father was standing behind him with a belt. The teacher was like, "Sir, put the belt down." He was like, "I don't tell you how to teach. Don't tell me how to run my class." And he was like, 3 plus 4 is what? He was like, 5. And, you know, so a lot of parents were stressed out, you know, because some children struggle. And a lot of parents aren't patient. And that causes children to be anxious. And when they're anxious, they just don't perform well.
A lot of parents aren't good at, you know, teaching. They left that responsibility to the teacher. You know, they send them off. And, I mean, parents, some of us were guilty, too, because we didn't put, not me, but the time in to teach the children. So when another one of the memes was, if y'all don't come get these kids, I'm about to lose my mind up in here with these kids all day long, but they're your children.
Right. There was the one parent
So then the
who
last
suspended
back
the
was-
kid.
The one key teacher came on, he was like, yeah, now y'all know how we feel. Y'all up here talking about y'all need somebody come get y'all kids. But how y'all think we feel when Sally and Sue and them ain't doing what they supposed to do and cutting up in class every day? And we call y'all to come to a meeting and you don't show up.
What kids you know named Sally and Sue? But yeah, so parents became automatic teachers, principals, counselors, and so their job didn't quit, and so that was a lot of stress. Limited resources. So at the beginning, there wasn't laptops for every kid, and so
They quickly fixed that though.
okay,
They quickly fixed that. They realized that especially in certain areas, that they even people who didn't have internet or cable, people that had cable and internet disconnected, they turned it back on. They gave computers.
I could not pay my cable bill.
They literally turned it back on. If you had a school-age child or a child that was in school, they turned that back on because that was their means of learning. at that point in time. So they quickly, I don't know, gathered some resources and they found help to get these children what they needed. Now, they may not have all been brand new computers, but it was enough for them to get the job done.
So the biggest thing for children is that social piece, right? And so they didn't have that social aspect. Not the younger children. The older kids did. I saw them congregating around the basketball courts and the playgrounds, and it was funny that it was one of the parents who was saying, "I don't want my child to go back to school because they was concerned about them getting COVID."
There's still quite a bit of parents that feel that way.
Right, and I understood that, but then I saw her son at the basketball court around 70 other kids. And I'm like, if he can be with 70 kids at this basketball court,
He can go to school.
he can go to school. So, there was a lot of double standards, but for the younger children, they didn't have that social outlet, and that's what school does give to a lot of children. There are some families who live in certain neighborhoods and communities that don't feel safe with allowing their children outside. And so that school in the schoolyard gave them an opportunity to run, jump, play, and meet kids and socialize and learn social skills. And so that was a big issue for a lot of the children. For the older kids, last year they had the prom, but the year before they didn't.
Right. So it has been 2 years. Well, 18 months or something like that.
Yeah, because the year before they didn't have a prom.
This whole thing required a lot of sacrifice on all parts. And that's what it boils down to. For parents with children, more so sacrifice on the parents' end, because you had to be willing to take the time basically to relearn your children all over again.
Or teach your children.
And then, teach your children. And then you gain some patience and what have you in the midst of all that you have going on. Because remember now, when you have children, you knew then from the beginning that they were going to be a sacrifice, that it's a sacrifice.
Not all parents knew that.
It's a sacrifice.
It is.
So, right.
Some parents didn't.
This is true.
Get that memo.
But that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. Everyone had to sacrifice something. Everyone had to give and take. And it wasn't easy for everyone. That's why divorce rates are up. Domestic abuse is up. Child abuse is up. Because
suicide, oddly, is not up from what our numbers say. But, again, we're still in it. And the fall creates seasonal depression.
And I love the fall. That's one of my fall and spring, my two favorite seasons. Love it.
Well, a lot of people don't. And again, it's because of the daylight savings is gone and it gets dark early and it causes people to isolate more. And so adding that to Corona, adding that to some financial woes, and then you have a recipe for
disaster,
some mental health issues that may include some suicidal ideology. What we do know is that due to COVID, that 1 in 6 visits to the emergency room is for mental health services. And so one of the things that I can tell everyone is that there's a shortage of hours, clinical hours, to help people. I know I have a wait list. Everyone I know, every clinician that I know has a wait list. Doctors, psychiatrists, they're not even taking any more clients because they can't get them in.
Wow.
And so a lot of people are getting the psychotropic meds via going through the ER. And so that is big. And if you are a person who is in need of mental health issues, please, by all means, go to the emergency room. If you can't get an appointment with someone, go there and allow them to support you.
But remember now, they were doing Zoom and making things convenient for visits and stuff.
Right.
But you said the clinical hours are short, though.
I can tell you that I'm doing both Zoom and in person.
And you're still booked?
And to come here tonight, I had, as I told you, I had to, postpone a session. And I'm working now, usually from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
That's a long day.
That's the need, that's out there. And I'm not the only one, that's out there on the front lines assisting. There are people who are going to the homes, wraparound services and KUA workers and CYS workers and DHS workers who are, going to the homes because they're inundated as well. And so it's the whole systemic thing that everyone is trying to work through to make sure that everyone's getting the support and help that they need. And so, what's the answer? Good answer. It's a chuckle.
I don't think there is one. They're toying around with it. They don't. I think they realize that there aren't any answers. They just need to figure out a way to figure out how to work with what's going on.
Right.
You have to figure out how to work the system within the system.
So I have a couple of solutions, and I don't know if it's going to work, but a couple is that we should all check on each other.
Oh, the wellness check.
Yes. And ask questions. How are you today? What's going on? What has happened with you over the last day or two? Because a lot of times people don't ask these questions, and a person may feel as though they're alone. And so they want to know that someone cares, and you don't need to be a professional to be able to do that. Another thing we can do is practice more patience, right? A lot of times people start, lashing out because they've been stuffing a lot of their feelings and emotions. And then what happens is someone may lash out at you, and you're like, yo, who the heck do you think you are? And then next thing you know, things escalate. But if we can just exercise more patience and not personalize things and kind of recognize that someone may be having a moment and that we don't have to, get back at them so quickly. The third thing that we can all do is, again, not waste time in appointment schedules, right? If you're not going to go to an appointment, a doctor appointment, a clinical appointment, don't schedule it, and so that means someone else can have that appointment space, and a lot of times, what's wrong?
Okay. I feel like you. I feel like you kind of slid that one in there because I'm waiting. Like, what is it? Okay. Dude, I get you though. Though I get it. Don't make an appointment if you know you have no intention on going.
Right, because it's keeping another person from getting the support that they need. Ask for help. Don't suffer alone. Don't be embarrassed to say that you're going through something emotionally. That's big, whether it's finances, whether it's some emotional stressor, whether you're not feeling secure in who you are. Ask for help. Again, not saying that this will end everything, but it's a great start. It is a great start. Practice safe distancing. And wear the facial shields. When you're in the supermarket. Even wear plastic gloves, so that the things that you touch.
No, don't wear plastic gloves. That's not good information.
That's not good information.
That's not. No,
Okay.
because everything you touch in a grocery store is dirty. It's been in the back. The money you're going to touch is dirty that you're going to put back in your wallet.
With the gloves.
Meanwhile, but you're touching everything else with it.
True, but you're not touching your face, are you? Right?
No. What do you mean? It's still dirty. You're gonna touch your credit card or your
Correct.
money.
Correct.
Touch your wallet.
Correct.
Put that back in there.
Correct.
And then you'll go in there again with raw hands and touch all that stuff you just put all that dirt on.
Well, you guys. Well, okay. We don't want you to touch things with your raw hands afterwards.
What do you mean? Women go into their purse. They don't have gloves on.
Okay.
To pull out their wallet or their credit card.
I will remove that one. We will strike that comment.
Yeah, strike
away.
that one.
Yeah, but
That's been in it.
we won't go there. But so there are some of the things that we can do. And again, it's really just practicing universal precautions.
Right, and it's so simple. It really is. Some some people are in denial. Some people just are set in their ways. You know what I mean? People will still just cough with an open hand, and then, or rub their nose, touch a door.
So how we getting out this room?
That has a handle.
All right.
But he has Lysol right there.
Okay.
But I'm going to wash my hands.
I just wait for you to open the door.
No, you're not. You're the guy.
Wow. So if you are experiencing some stressors, some trauma, you can always call the local crisis hotline. You can call 911. You can call a friend. You can call the number on the back of your insurance card. There's always some support out there. If you're going through some domestic violence, man or a woman, there's help out there. There's safe homes, there's safe havens. Well, I don't know if there's safe homes for men. I don't know, but I know that there are for women.
I don't know either.
We have to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely some for women and children.
Definitely.
They have them both in Delaware County and Philadelphia County. I don't know about Montgomery County or Chester County, but I would assume that they would have them there as well. But please don't allow yourself to be a victim of domestic violence because of that. If you are short with food, there are food banks all over the area. There's a bunch of them in Delaware County. There's a bunch of them in Philadelphia County. If you Google it, everyone may have access to a phone that has Google or a computer. If you Google it, they'll be able to show some places with days and times that you can just show up.
Even some of your local churches, there's things out there because there's just a lack of knowledge, and then it's not publicized or it's not put out properly. But there are associations and churches and, like you said, food banks and things that are in your local hometown where they will help you. It's just that people need. You can't do everything for them. You just have to do the legwork. But there are things out here, places out here where you can go, where at the very least you can get something to eat or get food for your family. At one point in time, they had like clinics and things that were offering care. Sometimes you have to do a little research and do a little digging. Well, just ask questions.
And so, the only thing that you need, I believe, is just an ID to show where you live. And they will make sure that you leave with a box of food. If you are not able to pay your bills, there's the Corona Relief Fund. If you're not able to pay your mortgage or your rent, there is a state stipend that is out. If you Google it, it will come up.
They didn't cancel that yet?
No, it just opened back up.
Okay.
Open back up. My grammar's bad.
Oh, okay.
And so that people who are still suffering, they can get rent relief and also mortgage relief. So that you do not have to feel worried going into the winter that you will be homeless or you and your family will be homeless. So there are supports and programs out there for that. That one, if you Google it, and if anyone knows me, they can call me. I have the email, and maybe I will send it to the radio station that you can just log on and do it. You will have to show some type of proof of
like a bill or something.
Right.
Oh, loss of income.
Yeah.
Okay.
Within that, or something like that, and then they will get the stuff over to you to kind of fill out, and then there will be paperwork for either the mortgage company to fill out or the landlord to fill out. And the process takes about 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, that's not bad. That's a good turnaround time.
It takes about 2 to 3 weeks. And you do not have to be behind in order to qualify. So, that's something.
That's good to know.
I believe, and I probably am going to misquote this, so Ms. Shimona, you can correct me, but LIHEAP will be opening up as well. And so that to get support in paying some of your utility bills, there is that LIHEAP program, and it's a program that you don't have to pay back. And so as the winter is coming, you shouldn't have to worry about being cold inside of your home or apartment. So, again, it is just asking, it's just looking for the support, and it's just working as a community to allow everyone to be healthy, within that.
And everyone's hiring now, even in the midst of COVID. And not only are they hiring, the pay has jumped up on so many jobs now. So don't
There
let
was
your pride allow you to
that
just sit
McDonald's
home.
was
when you-
$31 an hour.
Listen, Targets is now paying 17, and they're hiring. Amazon, I mean,
Amazon very strict though. It's easy to get fired at Amazon.
it's a job.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying. I don't know. My son's still there. So anyway, these are places that are hiring. Like, they hire you on the spot with like minimum skill, with a minimum skill set. So I mean, for those that are actually looking for work, that are saying they're struggling, that want to work, that want to at least get back on your feet in some way, shape, or fashion, then there's places out there that are hiring. Don't let your pride keep you home and keep you broke. Because if you're trying to feed your family, you want to take a job pumping gas for real, if that's all that's being offered. I'm just saying.
I mean, again, you shouldn't allow your pride, but
Some money is better than no money.
absolutely.
And you've heard the saying, you sometimes got to have a job to get a job.
I heard that. I definitely heard that before. But one of the things that, again, I don't know what the requirements are for the unemployment. I think there are some changes that you have to be looking for a job now.
You've always had to be looking for a job,
Oh.
but and I think unemployment is still backlogged for some people. It's now it's harder. Like, they're a little more strict as far as COVID. That's like one of the first questions they ask you: did you lose your job due to COVID? And they want proof.
Right. So I can say this, as I know several people who work for unemployment and public assistance, is that they're working from home.
Yeah, they are.
And so a lot of times you may be calling the main number and there's no one there to answer. They may get it after you leave a voicemail, like the next day or so. But a lot of times, most of the workers, as I know personally, they're working from home.
Yeah, I know some too. They direct the calls to them, though. They're
Okay.
routed to them. That whole setup at home, they're routed to them.
Right.
Sometimes there's a lot of calls, or there may be a long wait period.
Well, what I was told, and again, just talking to two employees that work for public assistance, their number is routed to them, their office number, not the main number, but their office number. So if you call their office number, their extension, it is routed to their house. But
Right.
if you call the main number, it's not routed to anyone.
What do you mean the main number?
So say the main number is 447
2200.
2200.
That's Crozier, but go ahead.
So that would then ring, and then a voicemail will come on. But if you know the extension,
It'll be routed to them.
it will be routed to the individual. So if you don't have an extension, it's just going to go there, and they check that once a day. But if you know the person's extension, it then is routed to their home. And so they will answer it in the order of which it is received. The best if you know their email, they get that instantly, and so that may be a faster way to get a response. One of the things that I was shocked, I don't know what I was trying to call Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And the call, again, went to a person out of the country. Seriously. And I don't want to, sound bad or anything, but I think they were from India.
They probably were.
And I could not understand her.
I
And
just ask. I hang up on. I'm telling her I need someone
I did. I asked for a
from
supervisor.
America,
Well,
an
so,
English speaking.
but one of my clients said they couldn't get through, and I didn't believe them. I kind of
wow.
didn't. I didn't. I said, no, I'll call them for you. I'll take care of it. And lo and behold, it did not work. And I was like, wow, this is frustrating for someone who's having some mental health issues. And they're being rerouted to someone who doesn't really speak the language. And you're asking them, can I speak to someone else? And they're like, there is no one else. Because they're working from their home as well. And so, they don't have a way to forward the calls. And it was funny. I hung up on her. And I called her right back, and she answered. So this is not my day. And so I wasn't even going through any emotional strains, that my client was going through, and I was frustrated. So, that can be a big issue as well. So, in wrapping up some things, hopefully we can get the phone going for the next time. But when we're in the home, try to have some activities to do for fun, right? You're in the home, you have limited access because of Corona. Create game night. While the weather is still nice, turn your backyard into a bistro so that, you can kind of, make dinner or lunch or breakfast or whatever exciting. You're looking at me like...
Because you do know people are out and about now with COVID.
Well, there are a lot of people are, but there are some people who's like, because like...
That's true, too.
I know some families who...
I know people that still get their groceries delivered because they don't want to go out to the store.
And they're not allowing the children out. And so, I will say this, certain areas, is very COVID, written. And then certain areas you don't think COVID exists. So there's a mix. And I was, noticing that a lot of restaurants are trying to pull people in. So they're kind of creating deals as, bringing people in is the way they make money. And so they're lax with a lot of the COVID restrictions because they want people to come in. They want people to feel comfortable, and they want them to order food. And so a lot of restaurants are not requiring some of the things that maybe certain stores might. Certain stores still have their signs up, must wear a mask. So it just really depends on where you are. But we want to make sure that we're all safe. So if you want to be at home, have game night. Turn your backyard into a bistro. Allow yourself to, in your family, to kind of be creative in ways of entertaining each other. Whether you're doing karaoke, whether you're making meals together, whether you're drawing or coloring together. If you're going to be out, take necessary precautions. We shouldn't stop living. That's important. But as Ms. Shimona said, wash your hands, use hand sanitizers, kind of just protect yourself. Don't wear the plastic gloves. But, make
you
sure.
do have to get out and get some of the air because you need the good
Good air.
You do, because if you stay in and keep yourself in forever, then you have nothing to fight off. You need the good bacteria and the bad bacteria.
Yep.
You need that to fight some things off. So if you constantly isolate yourself and never go outside, you're weakening your system.
Now, the biggest thing, don't be bullied into taking the vaccine or not taking the vaccine. Make that your personal choice.
Absolutely.
Some people may say to you, don't get it. It's the government way of monitoring you. Don't do it. And then there are some people who say, you better get it because you don't want to be dead. And whatever it may be, make it your decision.
Yeah, it's a hot topic. It is. And it goes a little awry sometimes. People make it too personal.
So don't feel bullied or pressure into doing it. Do it based on your research, based on your thoughts, based on your needs. If you feel as though that you're a high risk, and it will help you, then make that decision. If you feel as though that you're in great shape and that you are very low risk and you don't do things to place yourself at risk, then make that decision. But make sure that no one is forcing you to do something that you're not comfortable. Now, if your job is telling you you need to do it, you need to evaluate what's more important, the job or the independent freedom of not taking the vaccine. And again, that's a individualized decision that you might have to make. And, hopefully it works for you. What's your thoughts?
I agree with you. Don't be bullied. I mean, make a sound choice either way, or a sound decision, and base it off of how you feel, not off of what people tell you should do or what people think or how people feel. Base it solely off of how you feel, whether people agree with it or not.
And again, if you lost someone due to COVID, my condolences to you and your family. Go through the grieving process, understand the things that you can control, understand how to get closure with that so that you can move on in a healthy manner to be successful in whatever it is that you do. And so, again, grieve. You should always grieve, go through the grieving cycle. Don't force it, don't rush it. Know that it takes time. Again, we may be losing more people to COVID as well as other issues as well. So it's not just COVID alone, but know that you do have to go through the grieving process. And that's pretty much all that I have.
That's it for me too.
So this is our first time back. I don't know how many people, we don't have the screen set up in here. It was all probably 2 people, all Mr. Mona's people. but we ask that you join us the last Thursday of each month.
Is that what it is? The last Thursday of each month? Oh, okay. So the next show will be
The last Thursday.
Which is October
29th?
Is it?
28th, 29th?
I don't know.
Halloween is on a Sunday, I believe.
Okay.
I can't
So
count
we'll do a
backwards
better
that
job
far.
of promoting it for next month.
I did. I even promoted. I put our intro.
CMP is going to put it on there somewhere once, they fix the video.
Wow.
Yes, you are. Because you put everybody's, I don't know. But anyway, I saw it. I can't remember, but I saw it the other day. But anyhow.
It was decent. I was waiting for the music to start, to be bobbing a little bit, the vibe to come on in. But, thank everyone for listening. And if there's any topics that anyone wants to learn more about, please let us know. I don't know what we're going to talk about next month.
I do.
Okay, well,
He does know. He forgot. Next month is breast cancer awareness, and that will be a topic.
Yes, we early detection definitely save lives.
Actually, it's not just awareness. It's more about the effects of breast cancer, the emotional effects before, after, and during. That's what the topic's going to be, for the support, lack thereof, and everything else. It's going to be a pretty deep one next month. You might want to tune in.
I can't wait.
Me neither.
Everyone have a great night.
Good night. See you next month.